So now this is another question. So here what is the question? A mechanical system is shown below. So a system is given, derive its transfer function. So fine. What do you mean by transfer function? They didn't say what is it. They just said they want is the transfer function. So transfer function is output by input, right? So here if you see F is given here, means to mass 1 F input is given. X1 is the acceleration for M1, X2 is the acceleration for M2, means X2 is the final output. So X2 by F is your requirement. So this thing you should analyze at the beginning itself. So your requirement is X1 by F, X2 by F. So X1 you should eliminate. Okay, so now first let's write the single line diagram. What is the single line diagram? So we have mass 1 and we have mass 2. Perfect. Now let's start from the left hand side. So this is K1. Okay, so here K1 is there. So K1 is having a displacement x1. So it will be K1 x1. Next, force F is there. Okay, F of t is there. Next, D is there. D means what? Damper. So damper means D1 dx1 by dt, right? Perfect. So K1 is done, F is done, D is done, M1 we already shown, X is the displacement, so we implied that. Then D12 is in between. So D12 is in between. It means dx1 by dt minus dx2 by dt should be our multiplier. Then for mass 2, okay, D12, so mass 1 everything is done. Then yes, M2 done. D2 is also there. So it means D2 dx2 by dt, because here displacement is x2. D12, D2, M2, x2, K2. So K2, x2. Anything else left over? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, we are done with the single line diagram. Now, so for mass 1, the differential equation is, so always just remember, here F is given, means this is a translational system. For translational system, F is equals to M plus D plus K. This is not mandatory, I am just giving for a speed so that you won't do any mistakes. M means a d square by dt square, D means a d by dt, K means just dx. Okay. So according to that, F. So 2m1, is there any F? Yes, F is there. So f of t is equals to, m is here m1, displacement is x1. So d square x1 by dt square plus d. D means kfd. Yes, d1 is there. So d1 dx1 by dt plus next d12 is there with two connections. So it means d12 d by dt of x1 minus x2, because I am talking about m1, so I will give importance as x1, right? So x1 minus x2. Anything else? D12 is written, D is written, F is written, K is there. So after D, K is K1. So K1 x1. So let me separate these two. So F of t is equals to m1 d square x1 by dt square plus d1 dx1 by dt plus d12 dx1 by dt minus d12 dx2 by dt plus k1 x1. Apply Laplace transform. F of t will become f of s, m1 will be m1 only, d square will be s square, small x1 will be capital X1 of s, plus d1 d by dt will be s, small x1 will be capital X1 of s, plus d1 to yes x1 of s minus d1 to yes x2 of s plus k1 x1 of s, right? So finally I can say capital F of S is equals to, I will take x1 of s as common because I should eliminate x1 of s. That's what we decided at the beginning. So x1 of s is m1 s square plus d1 s plus d1 2 s plus k1 minus d1 2 s x2 of s. Now f of s plus d1 to s x2 of s is equals to, why did I write it like this? Because here in this equation this is about x2. I want something for x1, so I am sending x2 this side. So this is equals to x1 of s into m1 s square plus d1s plus d1 to s plus k1. So therefore I can say x1 of s is equals to f of s plus d1 to s x2 of s by m1 s square plus d1 s plus d1 to s plus k1. Okay, so finally you got something for x1. Perfect. Now mass 2. For mass 2, the difference equation is, for mass 2, what is our difference equation? Mass 2 is having d1 to d2 k. There is no f. So usually f is equals to m plus d plus k. There is no f. So 0 is equals to m is here m2. So d square x2 by dt square plus d is here d2 and d12. We have to. So d2 dx2 by dt plus d12 d by dt of x2 minus x1. You should remember this, x2 minus x1. The reason is we are talking about m2 plus we wrote d12, we wrote d2, then we have k2 x2. So let me separate these two first. So 0 is equals to m2 d square x2 by dt square plus d2 dx2 by dt plus d12 dx2 by dt minus d12 dx1 by dt plus k2x2. Apply Laplace transform on both sides. So 0 is equals to m2 s square x2 of s plus d2 s x2 of s plus d12 s x2 of s minus d12 s x1 of s plus k2 x2 of s. So let me take x2 of s as common. So it will be m2 s square plus d2 s plus d12 s plus k2 minus d12 s x1 of s. So this equation whole is about x2, but here we have x1 which is not required for us, right? So let me substitute this. So 0 is equals to x2 of s into m2 s square plus d2 s plus d12s plus k2 minus d12s into, what is x1 here? The up one. So write it down. F of s plus d12s x2 of s by m1s square plus d1s plus d12s plus k1. Okay. So now let us multiply d12 with this and separate a plus b term here. So this is equals to 0 is equals to x2 of s into m2s square plus d2s plus d12s plus k2 minus d12s f of s by d12s f of s by m1s square plus d1s plus d12s plus k1 minus, because minus into plus will be minus, d12s into d12s, d12 square s square x2 of s by m1s square plus d1s plus d12s plus k1. This is x2, this is x2. It means we need these two at one side only. But this is f. So let me send this to other side. What is this? d12s f of s. So d12s f of s divided by m1s square plus d1s plus d12s plus k1 is equals to, let me take x2 of s as common. In this equation, I can take x2 of s common. So I will have this numerator minus numerator by denominator. So what is that? m2s square plus d2s plus d12s plus k2 minus d12 square s square by m1s square plus d1s plus d12s plus k1. Clear? Numerator by denominator, perfect. A minus b by c. So let me take LCM of these two. So this is equals to, if I take LCM, it will be m1s square plus d1s plus d12s plus k1. But there is no LCM here. So this should be multiplied with this, right? So x2 of s into, because x2 of s is there, never forget this. This one multiplied with this. So it will be m2s square plus d2s plus d12s plus k2 into m1s square plus d1s plus d12s plus k1 minus d12 square s square. Clear? And here right side we have, left side, d12s f of s by m1s square plus d1s plus d12s plus k1. Denominator are same, so I cancel them. So now I am having equation as d12s f of s is equals to x2 of s into this answer. If you want to write it as it is, write it. If you have confusions with multiplications, never mind. But if you can, it's better, so that you will get full marks. m2s square into m1s square, it will be m1 m2s power 4 plus m1s square in d2s means m1 d2 s cube plus m1 s square into d12s means m1 d12 s cube plus m1 k2 s square plus. So m1 square I multiplied with everyone. So 1 is done. Now d1s. So d1s into m2 s square. m2 d1 s cube plus d1 d2 s square plus d1 d12 s square plus d1 k2s plus then d12s into everything. m2 d12s cube plus d2 d12s square plus d12 square s square plus d12 k2s plus then k1 is left. K1 multiply with everyone. m2 k1 s square plus d2 k1 s plus d12 k yes k1 s sorry k1 s plus k1 k2 k1 into k2. So we are done multiplying 4 terminologies with all these terminologies, but we should remember that there is anything minus d12 square s square. Here you can see d12 square s square, d12 square s square cancel. Okay, now d12 s of f of s is equals to x2 of s into, you should write the remaining value here, m1 m2 s power 4 plus, okay, s power 4 is done. Then s cube is 1 2 3 4, so we have 4 s cubes, so you should write it as s cube into m1 d2 plus m1 d12 plus m2 d1 plus m2 d12. So 1 s cube s cube s cube s cube done plus s square into m1 k2 plus d1 d2 plus d1 d12 plus d2 d12 plus m2 k1. So s squares are 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, perfect, plus yes into, so these 4 are done, these 3 are done, this one d1 k2 plus d12 k2 plus d2 k1 plus d12 k1. Yes, 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, perfect. So what else is remained? Plus k1 k2, done. So like that, always take 2 pens. If you are using blue pen, take a black pen for this helping. If you are using a black pen, use blue pen. So this can help you not to do any mistake. So our requirement is x2 by f. So what it will be? x2 of s by f of s is equals to, so f came this side, it means this multiplier should go as a denominator, is equals to d12 s by this whole value m1 n2 s power 4 plus s cube into m1 d2 plus m1 d12 plus m2 d1 plus m2 d12 plus s cube, sorry, s square into m1 k2 plus d1 d2 plus d1 d12 plus d2 d12 plus m2 k1 plus s into d1 k2 plus d12 k2 plus d2 k1 plus d12 k1 plus k1 k2. So finally this is your answer. If you don't want to do these multiplications, simply leave the line like this. Okay, d12 yes by this, done, no worries. I will just reduce 1 or 2 marks, that's it. But if you can and if you have time, you are always allowed to do so that you will get full marks. So that's it about this problem. So try to practice this. Unless you practice, nothing will work out. You should keep a pen on the paper and try to solve it. Then only you can see where the multiplications are, how the equation should be separated, how are we taking common terms. So all these things you should be knowing only when you can write it on a paper. Clear? So that's it. Okay, equation is given, diagram is given, single line diagram is drawn. M1 equation you are writing, you know that you don't want x1, so you are writing something for x1. Then you will write second equation, substitute x1 here, take x2 as common, send f of s over to one side, so f is equals to x2, so f by x2 is your requirement, x2 by f, done.